Yes, what is up? And first off, everyone needs to chill out about my Premier League predictions and my reaction video being slightly wrong. Because sure, I missed a few, like not getting any of the bottom three right, or the champion, or that Marco Silva didn't actually finish the season as manager of Watford, or Arsenal not making the top four when I said they would, or James Tarkowski not making the England squad, or you know what? We don't need to rehash it because all I want to say is I'm only human, but with great hair, a handsome face, and a winning personality. So like anyone, I am going to make the odd mistake from time to time, so get off my back! Second, let's do this. It's time for previews and predictions, and first up is the FA Cup final between Manchester United and Chelsea, who are both trying to salvage their less than great seasons by their lofty standards, of course, by winning the second biggest trophy in England. Though I don't know, maybe getting second in the league is good enough for you United fans now. Is it? Triggered! However, if United win, it would give them 13 FA Cup trophies, which would equal the most ever with Arsenal, so you know that their manager, Jose Mourinho, is going to pound that message of making history into his players' heads. Just like I'm sure he did last season when they won the Europa League for the first time. And if Chelsea win, it'll be their 8th time lifting the FA Cup trophy over their heads, and their first since 2012, when they won it with Roberto Di Matteo in charge, who also had the good fortune of bringing the Blues their first Champions League trophy in 2012 as well. And actually, what is Di Matteo doing these days? Give me a second here. Ah, I see. Nothing. He's doing nothing. Anyway, Chelsea are back in the final again after losing to Arsenal last season, so we'll see if they're up for winning one last game for their manager before he inevitably leaves the club this summer. And if he does leave, my guess is that he's going to announce he's leaving next week, because I don't think they're going to wait around to make that decision, either him or the club. So I'll be interested in seeing where he ends up, because you know he's going to land somewhere good. I just don't know where yet. I guess I haven't put a lot of thought into where he's going to end up, especially since the Italian national team job has gone to Roberto Mancini. If Allegri leaves Juventus, maybe he goes back there? Maybe? I don't know. But back to the game, the biggest tactical decisions I see on Chelsea's end is whether they start Courtois in goal, even though his backup, Willy Caballero, has started all the games in the Cup so far, which personally, I feel like Caballero should start again. But maybe there's too much at stake for Antonio Conte to chance using his second choice. Though I really hope Courtois stands up and says, you know what? Caballero deserves to start instead. He's been in this tournament the whole time. He's been the guy, because I feel like that would be the right thing to do as a good teammate. And the other big decision will be whether they start Morata or Giroud as the lone striker up top. Now, I would give Morata 60 minutes and then tell him ahead of time that I'm only giving him 60 minutes so that he needs to bust his ass the whole time and make something happen, and then let Giroud come in and score a big goal, as he has the tendency of doing. And as for United, well, it'll be interesting to see if Lukaku can get fit in time to start this one, but if he doesn't, I'm sure he'll be one of the first off the bench. But who replaces him if he doesn't start? Anthony Martial? I mean, I doubt it, because Martial's coming off a slight knee injury and the crushing blow of not being named to France's World Cup roster, so I'm not sure he's going to be mentally right. So my guess is that Marcus Rashford will be the guy, which then leaves us with what formation Mourinho wants to play. Personally, I think he's going to match Chelsea's 3-4-1-2 with a 3-4-1-2 of his own and have Bailly, Smalling, and Jones in the back, and then Valencia and Young as the wingbacks. Can you guys envision this? So they can morph into a back five without the ball. It looks like a 3 going forward and a 5 when they drop off, which I'm sure Mourinho loves. But of course, he is a man who likes to keep everyone guessing so that he's in total control, so who really knows? Anyway, taking all of what I said into consideration and knowing that they played each other twice this season, with United winning at Old Trafford 2-1 and Chelsea winning at Stamford Bridge 1-0, these teams are pretty evenly matched. So my prediction is gonna be 1-1, with Chris Smalling finding a way to hurt Gary Cahill so Smalling can go to the World Cup in his place. Which means, and I don't know why I had to add that in, but I thought it was a funny joke, and so I just did. Which means this game will head to extra time, but because United have won their last 7 Cup games at Wembley, and because Alexis Sanchez has scored 8 goals in his 8 appearances at Wembley, I think he is going to nip a goal before it heads to penalties to secure a 2-1 victory and United's only piece of silverware this season. Also, here's some other games I'll be keeping my eyes on this weekend. Oh yeah, there's a lot of good ones. Like both Milan clubs, because if Inter can go into Rome and beat Lazio, they will finish 4th and secure a Champions League spot. Though, I'm not sure Lazio are gonna roll over for them, even though Lazio really shouldn't even be in this position in the first place, because they dropped points with 2 draws in their last 2 games. What were they thinking? They had it in their hands, and now it's down to the last game of the season. Also, the two leading goal scorers in Italy, Ciro the Hero Immobile, who has 29 goals for Lazio, and Mauro Icardi, who has 28 for Inter, have 90 minutes left to determine who will win the Golden Boot in Italy, so there are a lot of reasons to watch this one. And as for AC Milan, they need to beat a Fiorentina team to secure automatic qualification for the Europa League. Also, it's a Fiorentina team who have nothing to play for this weekend because they can't catch 7th place Atalanta above them. So if Milan can't take them down when they have nothing at stake and at the San Siro in front of their faithful supporters, then they don't deserve to go to the Europa League. And then I'll be spying on Atletico Madrid versus Eibar just to give Diego Cholo Simeone and his players some love for winning the Europa League. So a big congrats to Atleti on that. My first career mode team. I love them. And then I'm all in on the championship playoff final between Aston Villa and Fulham because the winner gets promoted to the Premier League and the Premier League's treasure chest of money. So this one is going to be tense and intense. And because these two sides are so evenly matched, Villa beat Fulham 2-1 at home, and Fulham beat Villa 2-0 when they were the hosts, and these were the league games that they played against each other. It's hard to know what's going to happen exactly, but what I do know is that Fulham is going to dominate possession because in both games that I mentioned, Fulham had over 60% of the ball, which Villa are definitely okay with because Steve Bruce has them set up to play without the ball. In fact, the last time Villa dominated possession, they lost to Millwall. So expect this Fulham side to dominate the game in a lot of different ways, but the experienced Villa players to play on the break. So again, I don't really know how it's going to go down, but I think I'm going to predict that they'll draw after extra time and then go to penalties, and then who knows what happens then. But it's going to be exciting. And then I'll be switching channels to make sure I see the DFB Pokal final between Eintracht Frankfurt and, surprise, surprise, Bayern Munich, which has an interesting manager storyline since this is Jupp Heynckes' last game in charge of Super Bayern before Frankfurt's current manager, Niko Kovac, takes over for him. So I feel like it'll be kind of weird for everyone, but mainly for Frankfurt's players, who also have to know that they don't stand much of a chance in this one since they haven't beaten Bayern in any game in any competition since March of 2010. Yeah, if you're doing the math, that's over 8 years ago. But if there's one thing that Frankfurt can rely on, it's their defense, because they've conceded just 1 goal in the DFB Pokal this season, and the only other team to have done this was Wolfsburg, and they won the cup back in 2015. So maybe Frankfurt can park the damn bus and hope for a smash and grab win. We'll see. And then I'll have these things focused on Utrecht versus Vitesse for the second leg playoff for the final Europa League spot in the Eredivisie, because Vitesse won the first leg 3-2 at home, so I'm very curious to see how Utrecht does as host under some intense pressure, even though the last time these two teams played in Utrecht back in March, Utrecht won 5-1. And then I'll be peeking in on São Paulo versus Santos FC in the Brasileiro, because both of these rivals have incredible histories. However, both are off to a slow start to this new season. São Paulo are undefeated after 5 games, but only one of those 5 is a win. The rest were draws, which currently has them in 12th place. And Santos is right behind them in 13th off of 2 wins and 2 losses. So a full 3 points could go a long way to kickstarting the momentum they need to get closer to the top of the table where Flamengo and Corinthians currently sit. And then, of course, I'll be paying attention to the Scottish Cup final between Celtic and Motherwell, because Celtic wins everything, and I want to see if Motherwell can pull off the upset, which maybe they will, since the last time they played against each other, it was a 0-0 draw, but then maybe not, since the other 3 times they played, Celtic beat them quite easily, including knocking them out of the Scottish League Cup 2-0 in Motherwell. So yeah, never mind. The one and only mighty Celtic are going to win another trophy. And then I'll be watching the second leg of the Liga MX final between Toluca and Santos Laguna after Santos scored 2 goals in the last 20 minutes of leg 1 to win 2-1. So it'll be interesting to see how Toluca responds. But fun fact for you, I fully expect them to respond well, because over the last 25 years, Toluca has won the league 8 times, which is more than the 2 most popular and successful teams in Mexico, Club America and Chivas Guadalajara combined. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. And then I'll be going from North America's bottom half to its top half to watch Toronto FC host Orlando City, if only because defending MLS Cup champions Toronto, who had put all of their time and energy into winning the CONCACAF Champions League to start this season, only to lose in the final on penalties in April, which is so heartbreaking. Have sucked since that final transpired, winning only 1 of 5 and playing well below what they're capable of, so I'm very curious to see if and when they start playing like themselves again. And then I'll be keeping my head on a swivel to watch 3 games at once in Ligue 1 as Monaco, Lyon, and Marseille, who are only separated by 3 points, battle it out for 2 Champions League spots. Now, as an update, it looks like Monaco has got one of the spots locked up since they are on top of this 3-club pack and because they travel to play already relegated Troyes. So I believe it's really between Lyon and Marseille, who are separated by only 1 point. Lyon has 75 to Marseille's 74, but Marseille are coming off a heartbreaking loss to Atleti in the Europa League final, and they're without one of their top playmakers in Dimitri Payet, who got injured in the final as well, which is a lesson to never touch the trophy before the game is over. While Lyon is fresh physically and mentally, but Lyon is playing a good Nice team and Marseille hosts Amiens, who have nothing to play for. So I don't feel like it's outside the realm of possibility for Marseille, but it's not looking good. And then finally, I'll be watching what's going down in Turkey because it is coming down to the wire with the top 4 teams separated by just 4 points, but it's Galatasaray's to lose since they're on top by 3 points over Besiktas and Istanbul Başakşehir, so they only have to get a draw to win their first league title since 2015. However, they have to hit the road to face the 6th best team in the league, Göztepe, who in their first ever season in the top flight are undefeated in 9 out of their last 10 home games, so I don't think anything is guaranteed for Gala just yet. And alright, that is it. That is all I got except for these 3 things before I go. 1, loyal subscriber Max Altaris is helping the Mehdi Oliver Foundation, which helps underprivileged children get water and an education in Ethiopia, and he's doing it with a charity event in memory of his friend who sadly died 4 years ago at the age of 11. And he's looking for old international football shirts to help raise money. So if you have any lying around like I do, though they're not necessarily in this room, then you can email him directly and I'll put his info and the website for the foundation in the description so you can learn more. Also, Max, you're a great guy for doing this. 2, I'm looking to set up a different backdrop in a different part of my makeshift studio here for the World Cup. And I'm thinking about doing a subscriber wall with all of your lovely faces because I think that would be pretty dope. So if you want to be on that wall, send me a picture of yourself and nothing crazy, no nudes please, to Jimmy Conrad at P.O. Box 398, Fairfax, California 94978. And if you can't remember the address, I'll put that in the description as well. And finally, number 3, pick the right score for United versus Chelsea, and if you get it right, then you will be entered to win a Warm Baller starter kit courtesy of me. So good luck and have a good weekend. Later.